Hi everyone, so today we're going to be doing the third part of the Introduction to Assembly for the AVR microcontroller. So the slides from this come from Dr. Seper Nemi and the AVR microcontroller and embedded systems using assembly and C textbook. You can find links to these at nicerline.com or microdigitaled.com. So I made a few modifications to the slides, but they're mostly the originals. All right, so again, references here. We have the website for the textbook. It's important to have access to the instruction set manual, which is linked right there. And if you want to explore this using a high-level language like C or C++, and you want to see what happens in assembler, you can go to Compiler Explorer as well. All right, so today we're doing the third part. So this is the data memory access. We've looked at the CPU before. We've looked at high-level to low-level conversions before, the behind-the-scenes elements. Now we're going to take a look at data memory access. Okay, so when we take a look at the functional blocks inside of a microcontroller or microprocessor like the Atmega 328, we have the CPU, we have general purpose registers, we have different types of memory like RAM or EEPROM or flash, and then we have elements that have functions to them like the timing elements, the timers, or the units that control interrupts, or the general purpose input-output ports. And these are all mapped or all have availability through addresses that we can say we want data from this address or that address, or we want to send data out to that address or send data out to that particular address. And we do that through what are referred to as buses. And all buses really are control circuits with wires. And these wires connect the different blocks together, and they allow us to control elements like the address, the data. So here's an example of moving data around using the STS command in assembler, or store direct to data space. So we would say STS space address, comma, and the register. Okay. For example, if we wanted to take data that was in register R15, we want to place it in address 16 hexadecimal, so 0x60. We want to move the data that is in R15 into the address 60 in hexadecimal. We would say STS space 0x60, comma, R15. Okay, and once again, the text that's in green in here is a comment, so it's not operated on. It's there for your convenience. Okay. Let's try another example. Load direct from data space. So I have data that's in my data memory, and I want to load it into a register. So I want the LDS command. So LDS space, and then RD, which is the register I want to store the information into, comma, and the address of the data that I want to bring in, okay, in the regular data space. So again, we've divided up memory into different blocks, different spaces. You can see some of that on the left here, where in wine color or purple, it's general purpose registers, and sort of a light purple, light blue, it's standard I/O registers, the SFRs. Then you have in light green extended I/O memory, and then in dark green you have internal RAM. These are all different blocks, and on the left-hand side of that you have the addresses for different sections within that particular address space. So in this case, we're looking at taking information from address 60 in hexadecimal and putting it in register R1. Okay. Okay, write a program that stores 55 into location 80 in hexadecimal of RAM. Okay, so RAM is another type of memory space. Okay, and we want to put the number 55 into that particular address. The solution to this would be to use the load immediate and then the STS commands. So LDI, load immediate, so I want to take a number and place it into a register. So I would take LDI space R20, comma, 55. That puts 55 into register R20. Then I take the contents of R20 and place it into memory space address 80, STS space 0x80, comma, you don't have to have a space there, but it's comma R20. So you're taking the contents of R20, register 20, and placing it into memory location 80 in hexadecimal, so 0x80, and that value will be 55. So after these two lines are executed, you will have the value 55 in that particular memory location. What's counterintuitive here is that in order to place a number in RAM, you have to have two operations. You have to place it into the register memory first, then you take the register memory and then place it, that contents from register, into regular RAM memory. Okay, so it takes two steps instead of one. Next, write a program that copies the contents that's located in memory space 80, 0x80, and then place it into memory location 0x81. So you just want to shift it over. How do you do that? Well, the thing that you do here is you say, I have contents in memory location 80, and I'm going to place it in a temporary register R20. Then I'm going to take the contents of R20 and then place it into the next piece of RAM. Okay, so I say LDS space R20, comma 0x80. So I'm saying I have a value inside of location 80, and I want to place it in register R20. Then I do STS. So I'm going to remove, or I'm going to copy, in effect, the contents of R20, and I'm going to place it into the memory location desired. So STS space 0x81, that's the receiving location, comma R20. So whatever was in memory location 80 goes into R20, then from R20 it goes into 81. Next, add contents of location 90, so 0x90, to contents of location 0x95 and store the result in location 0x313. All right, so the solution to this would be LDS R20, comma 0x90. So I'm taking the contents of memory location 90, placing it in R20. Then I take the contents of 95 and place it in register R21. So now I'm ready to manipulate the data that's in registers 20 and 21. I then add. So I add R21 to the contents. So I'm taking the contents of R21, adding it to the contents of R20, and then storing the result in R20. Then I take the contents of R20 and place it back into general memory at location 313. Again, always in hexadecimal here. So STS 0x313, comma R20. To recap, so I'm taking the contents of memory location 90, placing it in R20. Then I take the contents of 95 and place it in register R21. So now I'm ready to manipulate the data that's in registers 20 and 21. I then add. So I'm taking the contents of R21, adding it to the contents of R20, and then storing the result in R20. Then I take the contents of R20 and place it back into general memory at location 313. Now, ask yourself, what does the following command do? LDS R20 2. Here's the explanation. It copies the contents of register R2. We didn't say R2, we said 2. There's an alias for it, okay? But the memory location for it is 2, and we're placing it into register 20. And so what's important to point out here is that we can often refer to different parts of memory in different ways, okay? We can use like almost a variable name, or we can give it the actual sort of hard-coded value of its location, its actual numeric address. All right, it's very confusing dealing with these numeric addresses. So we often have to refer to tables of addresses. And this is an example of one of these tables. So here's an example of how we can use one of these tables. We want to store the value 53 into the SPH register. So that's just another register. And the actual numeric address of the SPH register, which you can find at the bottom right-hand corner of the table up above, is 0x5e. So it's 5e in hexadecimal. So we would say that we want to take the value 53. We use load immediate, LDI. We place it into register R20. That's the first line right there. Then we're going to store the contents of R20 into memory location 5e, whose alias 5e is SPH. So it's the functional name for that register is SPH. The actual memory address for the SPH register is 5e. And again, you can see we put $5e. It's the same as saying 0x5e. It's a hexadecimal address. All right, let's look at some other examples here. You might have noticed that in the table there are 3 columns. There's the mem or memory column, the I/O column, and then the name column. So the name is the alias that we'll normally use to refer to these specific registers, and you can actually use these in your C programs or your assembler programs. But then there's 2 variants of the address numeric values from the memory perspective and the I/O or input-output perspective. It's not a really big deal whether you use one or the other. They're equivalent. It's just important to know that. And some assembler commands use one versus the other. So that's really the distinction that you need to make here. So with specific assembler commands, you need to use the I/O memory numbers. And in other ones, you use the memory number itself, okay, the memory address. Look at your data manual in order to know which one you need to use. But here's an example of one where we use the I/O address. Okay, so in, we're saying in from an input-output location. And this refers to really when we're using things like general-purpose I/O. So, for example, we want to bring information in from the status register, and we want to place it in register R1. So we'd say in space R1, comma, 0x3f. If we take a look at the table over here, we'll see that 0x3f or $3f is the status register, sreg. If we want to move information in from the SPH register and we want to place it in R17, we say in R17, comma, 0x3e. So 3e is from that second column, and we want to take the SPH value, so from 3e, and place it into register R17. So in space R17, comma, 0x3e. Next, say we want to move data out. So we want to place it in those locations. So we say out, IO address, comma, and the register we're taking the information from. So IO address is the receiving address, and the RD is the taking address. So we say, for instance, if we want to take the contents of R12 and place it in the status register, we would say out 0x3f. So 0x3f is the status register right there, comma R12. So out 0x3f, comma R12. If we wanted to take the contents of the R15 register and place it in the SPH register, we would say out space 0x3e. 3e is the SPH register in the IO space, and we say comma R15. All right, we can also use their names depending on your assembler or compiler, but they basically all support them. So what we do is we say, for instance, if we want to take the contents of R12 and place it into the SPH register, we would say out space SPH, comma R12, and that would take the contents of R12 and put it into the SPH register. And if we want to take the contents of the sreg or status register and place it in R15, we would do the opposite, in R15, comma sreg. Okay, and it's in general easier to use these names than the actual numeric addresses. It's easier to maintain your code if you do it this way. All right, next, write a program that adds the contents of the pin C IO register, so PINC, the pin C, or pin port C IO register, to the contents of pin D, so the set of D input registers, and stores the result in location 90 of SRAM. Here we go. So we take the values from pin C and pin D and place them in R20 and R21 by saying in R20, pin C, in R21, pin D. So now we have the contents that came in from these, basically it's the pins on the outside of the chip. Take that contents, place it in R20 and R21, and then we're going to add them together. Okay, so we now have numeric values for what was on the pin C and pin D registers. We've got them in R20 and R21. We add them together. We store the value in R20. Now we're going to move that value out into address location 90 in hexadecimal. So we say STS 0x90, R20. All right, and that was it for the third part.